morning, everybody. We are coming from Parkside Elementary School, and we have a guest today, Mr. James Garner, who is going to talk a little bit about his experiences on the family farm. And little did these people know that Mr. Garner is also a teacher at Lawrenceville High School. So he's over at LHS. What do you teach over at LHS?
I teach history, and next year I might be teaching some English.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So I've been teaching history for 22 years, I guess. So.
Really? Okay. Okay. Well, one of the reasons why we wanted to invite you, sir, was because I know, and I think a lot of these young people know, that farming is a very, very important occupation, and it can go across very many generations of family members for both men and women alike. So what we thought we would do for fun was we're going to let you comment on some of the attire that our farmers are wearing today, if you would be so kind. And when we introduce you, we're going to let you say a little bit about how you're connected to farming, okay? Will that work? Will that work? And if you're not connected to farming, maybe you can explain that too. And so I'm going to go first.
Okay.
Rose West, and my hat says urban farmer because I would be a city girl learning to take care of her garden. However, I came dressed for success today because I thought that if it was raining, I might wear a jacket if I went outside. So what do you think?
I think you're prepared. And you've got decent footwear, and urban farming is a big thing now with a lot of people producing their own food and like rooftops and small containers and things like that.
My home in Vincennes, Indiana, actually is on a very small plot of land, Mr. Garner, and we grow stuff around the house in pots and in beds. And I get fresh vegetables and herbs from my garden, but I am not a farmer like Mr. Garner. I am not out in the country. So, thank you, thank you. Sawyer, how about if you go next? Stand up and let us see how you are dressed today. What do you think, Mr. Garner?
I think he's very well prepared, especially with all the mud we're having. Those boots are indispensable. You can't get around without muck boots right now. I've got a hole, well, my muck boots that I have at home, I've got a hole in the back that I just discovered because I stepped in the mud, so very well prepared.
Now, Sawyer, share with us your connection to farming, because this young man has a connection to farming.
My grandpa's a farmer, and he lives right by his field.
Do you see farming in your future, dear? Do you think you'd like to farm like your grandpa?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Next, we have Miss Zoe. Zoe, stand up and let you show your stuff here. What do you think, Mr. Garner?
I think she's also prepared. She's got some good footwear on and looks ready to go.
What's your connection to farming or animal?
And I'm right next to it, 6th grade.
Really? Oh. And you were sharing before we started about your horse. Tell us about your new horse.
My horse is at
What did you name her? Zoe has been a horse lover for a long, long time.
That's a lot of work and responsibility caring for a horse.
But sure you can. This is Mr. Jackson. How is he ready for the farm?
Well, he's got some safety wear on with his glasses, and he's got a good agrigold hat to keep the sun off his head and the sun out of his eyes, and he's also got good footwear and well prepared. Are you related to Joe and Leah?
Tell him your connection to farming.
my dad's a farmer, and also my dad's cousins are farmers with my dad, and my grandpa is a farmer.
And what are you going to be when you grow up?
Farmer.
Surprise, surprise. This kid has been writing stories about farming for me for years.
Excellent.
It is an excellent combination. Thank you, sir. All right, Aiden. Let's see. How are you dressed today?
Aiden came dressed for school, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Got to dress for the job, right?
But I'm also thinking that we were talking earlier about the fact that farmers don't always dress like maybe you would think. Could you see yourself relaxing like that in
Absolutely.
some soft clothing? And
Absolutely. When I work around the house, I do, and I worked on scaffolding the other day, and I was wearing, instead of wearing my boots, I wore tennis shoes like that so I could feel climb a little better.
Ooh, so you would be prepared for doing a different job on the farm than maybe most people would think. See, we know farmers wear a lot of different clothing for the job, suited for the job. What's your connection to farming?
Well, my grandma's dad used to farm, and my grandpa farms now. We have one horse, we named her Cayenne. We have baby chickens, we have puppies, and two big chickens, and a dog.
That's great. You have a donkey?
Mm-mm.
Or a dog?
Dog.
Okay.
So do you see yourself working as an adult or a young person as you grow older to be involved in farming in some sorts? It sounds like he's off to a running start. Very good. Okay. Well, why don't we start over here with Mr. Breyer? What do you think?
I think he's prepared to cut wood or do any other number of chores. He's got a rugged shirt on, and some heavy-duty boots and jeans. Ready for some serious work.
Connection. Do you have a connection to farming? Does your family members that you were mentioning, your uncle and your grandfather, they live right around here in Lawrence County? Very good. So, do you think that would be a career choice that you might be interested in as you are deciding when you grow up? Sounds like a plan. That's how we learn, isn't it? Maybe by helping on a farm.
It is.
All right, Mr. Knox, what do you think? How does this
He's
farm
also
look?
prepared and ready to go. He's got a good rugged shirt, jeans. Are those steel toe boots or just comfortable? I like steel toes because sometimes my cows step on my feet. It hurts. Those are good boots. I like those.
Well, connection. Do you have a connection to farming or a
My grandpa used to farm. He's farmed for a whole life, but then he died. And my other grandpa farmed with him. And we have lots of old tractors and lots of animals.
Do you think, you live out in the country, don't you? Do you think that maybe you'd like to be living out in the country as an adult someday, like where you live now? You never know, Mr. Garner, maybe he would have some.
I work on, me and my grandpa, we work on cars too.
Oh, okay.
Great.
You know what, that's a skill. Don't you work on machinery sometimes?
I help. I'm not that good at it, but I help a lot. So somebody that can work on machinery.
I like working on cars. I started when I was 7. You know, I like it.
There you go. Sometimes picking a career starts when you're a young person, and that love will grow as you get older and you get more experience. Cool. All right, Mr. Isaac, what about this young man?
He's got a case equipment sweatshirt on that shows he knows something. Looks like he's ready to go and get to work too.
What is your connection?
My dad farms,
He does.
my grandpa farms. We have a dog, a cat.
Do you spend a lot of time out on your grandpa's and your dad's place on the farm? Do you see yourself someday maybe following in the footsteps of your family members with some career maybe in farming or living out in the country? Yeah, he's dressed. Do you have any case equipment on your farm?
I don't think we do. I know it's good equipment, but I don't think we do. We might have backhoe or something like that. But we make a lot of different things.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Nick. This would be Nicholas. What do you think?
I think Nicholas looks like he can work. I bet he can work. You like to do work? Do any kind of different chores at home? There you go. That's a chore.
Well,
I do a lot of that.
don't farmers have to be organized on their place?
Oh
Put
yeah.
things
There's
away?
always something to do. There's always a matter of always finding work, picking up this, fixing that, and taking things down and moving things from here to there.
Nick was pretty excited about coming to meet you today. What is your connection to farming? Do you have a special connection or just a desire? Not yet, anyway. You could be the first person, maybe. You could be looking at a first-generation farmer.
That'd be pretty neat. That's something that's happening still. Great.
Well, we're here to learn more. Mr. Riggs, this is Daniel. What do you think of Daniel's attire?
I think Daniel's also ready to go. He's ready for action. He's got a warm sweatshirt on and ready to be outside. I dress in layers like that a lot when I work. I can take clothes off because I never know. If you're a farmer, sometimes you're outside for long periods of time and you never know. It can start out cold in the morning or rainy and you can peel off a sweatshirt.
Mm-hmm.
It's terrible when you got to put them back on and they're wet, but
What do you think? Do you have any connection to farming or know people that have some farm animals?
My grandpa's a farmer.
Oh,
He has chickens. He used to have 4 horses, 4 cattle, 4 lambs.
okay. What about your future plans? Do you think farming might be something you would consider? Well, you know what? It sounds like today might be a way we can all learn some more things. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Well, sir, what can you tell us about your career in farming?
okay. Well, as Wes told you, I do teach. That's the job that I chose, but I always wanted to be able to work on my family's farm. So I used to live in Pennsylvania, and then I moved back here. When I was real little, I always came down here to work with my grandfather. He's now passed away, but he lived here. And he had cows and a big garden and did some crops. But I've always mostly been working around cows. And so I never really considered myself a farmer. I was just kind of the help. I just helped with whatever I was supposed to do. And something that's funny is that when I was younger, like you all, I was actually afraid of cows because I would go out with my grandfather checking. We'd go out in the field and there'd be hundreds of cows out there, and then they'd come in and I'd be left in the truck, and they'd come in and stick their head in the truck and look at me, and they'd have this big head, and I was, I'd never been around them, so I was like, they're going to get me. I was scared of them, and now I work around them all the time, so it's kind of funny. But I grew up working for him and learning how to bale hay and just how to follow directions and kind of get into a routine of how to take care of things. Yes, sir.
It's not so built.
Does he? Do you bale square bales or round bales? You going to do that when you get older? It's a lot of fun.
Now, did you, when he was a little boy and was visiting his grandfather, did your grandfather grow or raise the hay himself on his property? And when he baled it and finished with it, was it for feed or did he sell it to people?
No, he didn't sell it. He needed it for feed because we've always had quite a few cows, so we always needed it for feed. And we would go and bale other people's fields to get hay because my grandfather always said you never know if you're going to run out. You never know if it's going to get dry. Like right now it's raining, but if you watch, it might stop raining in June and not rain again until Thanksgiving. And somebody that you mentioned that you have grandparents and dads and uncles, and they'll tell you that you'll always bale everything you can because you never know what the weather's going to do.
Did you ever sell any of your straw to other people? Because when I was a younger woman, I used to have some dogs that needed swarm linings for their dog houses, and so
Right.
I would go to my local farmer and buy 3 or 4 bales every
We've
year.
done that.
Okay.
We've done that. We buy hay now just because we almost have more cows than our farm can sustain, so we'll buy hay from neighbors. But you work. That's one of the neat things about farming is you work with other people and you make deals with them and find ways to trade. You trade chores. We have some neighbors that we helped them get some of their cows in that were kind of rowdy and crazy, and they gave us some hay for helping them out. And, you try to trade like that. That's one of the neat things about farming.
So working together is important for someone who, like yourself.
Very important. Yes, ma'am. I think right now we have about 250.
That's a herd. Now, are you having calves?
We do. We have them all the time. Yes, sir.
How much did you have?
You what?
How much did you have whenever you were scared of them?
When I was little, You know, when I was little, my grandfather probably only had about 70, and now we have a lot more because he was older, so he was kind of shrinking the herd down to what he could manage. And now there's my cousin and myself, and we both run the farm. He's actually the one that really does all the work on the farm, and so with the two of us, we're able to handle a lot more cows.
Do you know that I tried to get his cousin to come here with us this morning? He said, I think,
He's not real talkative.
no, he thought that maybe Mr. Garner could be better. But it is teamwork.
It is. Oh yes, it is.
Okay, I gotta know this. What time would he start his day? Because that's one of my curiosities, is what does a farming day look like?
We get up. I get up almost every day about 5 because I know my cousin gets up at 5 too. He might get up earlier, and if he's having calves, you get up in the middle of the night to check them. If you have a mama that's pregnant, you need to go check to make sure the baby's not stuck coming out or she's not having problems. So, but to answer your question, I would say he gets up about 5, and about 6 o'clock, we're in the truck getting ready to load. We load feed up and take out, and then we go take out hay. You go check on everything. But I try to get up, even if we have a snow day, I'm usually up at the same time because that way I'm used to getting up. Yes, sir.
Does anything kill the cow?
What?
Does anything kill the cow?
Did it kill them? No, we've never really had any problems unless a cow's sick. If a cow's sick and weak or old or something, occasionally a coyote or something will get it, but or wild dogs occasionally, but we don't usually have too many problems like that. No big cats or anything yet. Yes.
Have your cows, when they have babies, have they ever had a problem?
Oh yes, just like people can. The baby should come out of the mama kind of like this with its head on its front hooves, and they can get turned sideways inside the mom, and so it's hard to pull them out. And they're a baby calf is about your size, so they're pretty big, in terms of weight and over. Like if you were they're about the same size when they come out. So yes.
Have you ever had a problem, have a cow die from having a baby?
Yes, that can happen sometimes, and that's when you're having a baby, you try to make sure you save both, and it can be difficult. There's a veterinarian that works over with Dr. Van Winkle. He's Dr. McCoy. I've watched him work. He's come out a few times when we've had emergencies. He's worked for 2 or 3 hours trying to help us save both. So it does happen, and that's part of being on a farm is kind of life and death. Like when you're watching your horse live its lifespan or a pet. So, yes, sir.
Dr. Van Winkle, he lives right down the road from me.
Okay,
Because my whole family lives on one road.
that's kind of neat. Yes.
Dr. Van Winkle lives in my neighborhood.
It's true. Now that these gentlemen mentioned this, one thing that I know is that some veterinarians specialize in farm animals, correct?
Yes. Right.
And others are pets.
Right.
Some
Most
are
of
birds.
it's a lot easier to be a small animal vet. Being a big animal vet, it's dangerous and it's a lot more work. Yes, sir.
Dr. Van Winkle, he has all different kinds of pets. He has raccoons,
Yes.
all different kinds
He's
of
a
pets.
pretty neat man. Yes, sir.
What kind of tractor do you have?
And a tractor, we have mostly New Holland tractors. We have some case equipment, but mostly New Holland, mostly Ford New Hollands. We've got all blue tractors. We bought tractors from the same dealership in Vincennes for a long time, so we kind of have credit with them, and that's just why. We have some other pieces of equipment that we use we sort of share with our neighbors. So we do have a couple big John Deere tractors that really aren't ours, but we'll use them once in a while. Yes, ma'am.
You joined your
We don't, but some of our neighbors do, and we share it with them. So we have one really big tractor for getting out in fields. Like people that have grain farmers that grow crops, they need the really huge equipment. We don't really need anything super gigantic, but when we do need to get out in the field, we use them. one big John Deere tractor.
Do you buy from John Deere?
Do I what?
Buy from John Deere?
We have not. I mean, maybe in the past we bought something, but yes.
Has there ever been a flood in your farming?
Have I ever what?
Has there ever been a flood in your farming?
A flood? Well, there's been a flood here in town, but it never really hurt us. But we do have some creeks that'll get really full, and our ponds get really full. When I was about your age, I had a great uncle that it was flooding real bad, and the ponds were overflowing, and he made me go out there with the bucket and get all the catfish out so we could eat them.
Ooh.
Yes, sir.
Do you have any rain beds by your house?
Grain beds? Our neighbors do. We need one, but we don't have one. But we have a neighbor that we work with, Jason Green and his dad Dennis Green. They have big grain bins, and they actually will go down and get grain from them. Yes.
We like where my whole family lives on that road, all the fields around it, we all own them, and we have 3 to 5 grain beds.
They're good things to have, aren't they? Yes, sir.
I drove a tractor.
You what?
I drove the tractor.
Neat. Good experience. Was it
And
a
it calmed down.
shifted it and everything?
You were steering. Do you think that farmers like your family, do you think that they teach their young people at a young age maybe, and supervise them, of course, because you don't want to
Right. It's it's a
have it
kind of a tricky thing. You want them to learn, and they have to learn and be serious about it. And I know with the tractor, with shifting, it'll lurch on you if you're not careful, but you'll learn if you serious about it. Yes, sir.
You're lucky that you would have someone to guide you that really is an expert in driving machinery.
How many farming rules of yours have died?
Oh, I don't know. We try to make it not very many. Some die from old age, some get sick, so, probably no more than some years, just one. Some years you might have as many as 5 if something happens. But the more you have, the more, you're going to have that happen. We try not to lose them. We try to take pretty good care of them. Yes, sir.
Have you ever had a garden?
Ever what?
Have you ever had a garden?
Like garden.
Oh, garden? Oh, yes, I still do. I'll have a garden outside of my house. And, I like the garden. And when I lived in Pennsylvania, I missed being here. I had a big garden. I had like a hillside, and I made it kind of like the Aztecs and Incas did it, where it goes out like that.
I used to have a garden,
Yeah, I love gardening. That's one of my.
but I got too old and that's the garden.
If you like to eat, you like to garden. Yes, sir.
I have a garden behind my barn.
What do you grow in it?
Mostly grow tomatoes and cucumbers.
So, yes, sir.
Have any of the tractors caught fire?
That's a good question. We've had a hay baler catch on fire because the belt got jammed up, and it got, you ever see the old time of the Indians when they'll rub a stick? It'll do the same thing with the belt. If the belt gets caught and it gets hot, it can catch on fire. Tractors, I had one sparking on me one night when I was coming home. It was sparking and my pant leg caught on fire, but I just kept driving. Not a good idea, but I got home before it caught on fire. Yes?
What's the name of my dad for driving home? We saw a bird tractor in the field.
What tractor?
A bird tractor.
It happens. Kind of a scary thing. Yes, sir.
I drove a tractor before.
You drove one too? You like doing that? Was it a big one or a little one?
Both.
Both?
Okay, both.
You have to climb all the way up into it? Neat. Yes, sir.
I've rode in a case tractor before. I was with my aunt and she had a friend that farmed and I got to ride with him in the field.
That's kind of neat, isn't it? You get to see all that.
Well, I have a question. And this is a question that has to do with your farming neighbors, the people that are like around where you have your property. Is there ever a time when you have to call on them to help you solve a problem? Because I can remember Mrs. Steffi was one of our secretaries here at school. And she said she remembered one year that they waited Thanksgiving dinner because all of the neighbors helped to bring in that crop at the very end.
Oh,
This
sure.
was November, and it was just one of those years where the crops just didn't get brought in. And so the farmers just kind of came up to their aid, and I thought, how cool is that?
We've been lucky where, you hear about sometimes where somebody gets sick and they need to ask for help. And fortunately, we have not had that problem. But we've, as I said earlier, we've shared things where, you need somebody to drive something or you need to borrow something or different things like that. So, yes, one of the neatest things I've ever seen is we have a field that we own like a quarter of it, and then some other farmers own part of it, and somehow that field got caught on fire. And it was bad. We had hay out there, and we were trying to get the hay off the field, and the fire department couldn't get there in time. So some of our neighbors, other farmers, Jerry Davis, Alan Wager, they came out with a big tractor and a big rake thing behind them, and they just ran over the fire, and we all put it out. And that was pretty neat. So
Wow.
yes, sir.
Do you have a pond in front of your house?
A pond. I've got a pond right outside my door. Got snapping turtles and big blue heron birds in it. I don't know about fish. It's kind of muddy, but it's got a lot of like frogs and snakes and kind of a wild pond. And I have muskrats. They were kind of ruining it because they were burrowing into the side. And I've got do you have a pond? They're kind of neat to have. They can smell a little bit sometimes. But
I have one that has like oil and water.
I like the one. I got ducks and geese on mine right now, but they'll leave eventually. So, yes, sir.
Are any of your fields tiled?
Tile? Yes. But they've been irrigated? Yeah. We have some. There's some that my mom has that are out on the highway. Those are tiled. And then, the ones that are like our big grain fields that are they're basically off our main farm, they're tiled.
I have a game. It's farming. It's where it's a team. And I have a bunch of fields and I help out other farmers. And I plow fields and stuff.
Well, that's kind of neat.
It's fun.
You can learn a lot about that way. That's neat. Yes.
Have you ever fertilized field?
Have I? I have not. I don't think that I've ever done that. But I know my cousin has. He used to, actually have a business doing it. But yeah, I don't. That's not really one of my. I usually help with the cows because that's the main thing I do is get them in. But yes.
Have you ever fell in mud?
What?
Fell in mud?
Fell in mud?
Have you ever fell in the mud?
Oh, lots. One time I fell in the mud like 2 times before school started because I'll get up at like 5:30 and help get the cows in. And one time I was trying to get cows in and I fell right in my face in the mud because it was really thick. And then when I got to school, I kept washing my hands. I couldn't get the smell off. And I kept checking my face to see if I had mud on it.
You know why I'm laughing? It seems like every day this week, or in the last couple of weeks, it's raining right when the buses roll. So I was thinking when you said fell in the mud, I was thinking this morning could have been one of those times because it's been raining quite a bit in the last couple of days.
Yeah, I've fallen in the mud pretty good time too. Yes.
Have you ever planted watermelons and they got too much water and they split it?
I planted watermelon, but I don't know about that. But yeah, watermelon can be hard to grow, and they're hard to pick. It's hard to tell when they're ripe, isn't it? You grow a lot of watermelon?
No, but I think my grandpa does in his greenhouse.
That's neat. Watermelon's good. Yes.
Are you sure when you fell in mud? Are you sure?
Am I sure it was mud? Well, I think it was something else too. Yes.
I was in the watermelon. The water by myself, no help.
Neat. Did you get very many? It could be. Sometimes stuff will, get it. Like if you plant now, it'll get rained out. There's a lot of things that can happen.
But when I planted it, it had too much water and it exploded.
Neat. Yes.
Have you done the combine?
So I drove a combine? No, I have not. That's something I'd like to do, but I never have. My cousin's done that a little bit, but I don't really. when harvest time comes, I'm usually in school by then. I work after school a lot, like picking up hay, and I've worked like right behind the combines because we'll bale straw, which comes you bale the wheat. So I've gone like right behind them and stuff before, but I've never driven them. Yes, sir.
In our garden, we have lots of wild animals, and when we plant stuff, and it blooms, and right before we pick it, all the animals come in.
That'll happen. There's a little bug that'll get pumpkins. I used to grow pumpkins all the time in Pennsylvania, and there's this little bug that'll get on it'll root where the vine goes into the ground, it'll eat that up, and your pumpkins will be all orange, and then they'll die. And that can be really frustrating, but that's also kind of a good lesson, just with anything. It's like, if you get an assignment at school, sometimes you gotta do things 2 times in order to make it right. So, yes?
The time we were at me and my dad were working this mountain together.
What were you putting together? Oh.
That's good stuff. You can work on that. You can probably work on anything. Yes, sir.
One time, a combine looked down in the field and we had to fix it.
I bet that was a lot of fun. Was it hot?
A belt, got off.
Belt got off inside, or a belt? Like you have to lift up a cover and get in there and get to it? Yeah. All dusty.
And one time, a combine caught on fire and my dad was
Yeah.
But he jumped out, he got water bottles, got full.
Good.
Sometimes when I'm at my grandma's with my brothers and sisters, we'll go out in the field and the farmers have cut down. We'll get the old corn and we'll get a little cage and act like we're playing farm sometimes.
That's neat.
Well, I have a question. What does the end of the day look like? You talked about, in the morning when you get up early to feed. What does the end of a typical day look like?
Well, when I was younger, at the end of the day, we had to put everything away. We tried to make sure everything was fueled up for the next day. And, if it was summertime, we would get as much hay done as we could and put away and just sort of check everything, make sure that we had done everything. Now, our days, and we would basically end the day 5 or 6 o'clock. Now, sometimes it depends what we're doing. We can be working until 8 or 9. It just if we're doing something with hay, if we're farmers that are harvesting, they'll work in the dark. But we usually just check everything again, make sure that everything's got all the animals have feed, and sort of make sure you've got everything put away. And but sometimes your days don't really end,
That's kind of what I was thinking. In fact, here's another question I have. You know how when we stop for lunch, there are different lunch periods, do you sometimes know when it's going to be a long day? Do you pack a lunch and a dinner and take it out to the fields, or does someone bring you food? Because I used to have a principal, Mrs. Phipps, and she said she would run food out to her husband Jerry and her son John, depending on the time of year, because they'd be way out in a field far, far away from the house, but they were so busy they didn't stop, and so she'd take food out to them.
My mom she's been a farmer too, so she was a nurse and a farmer, and she did a lot of the work, but so she wasn't just somebody that brought us food, but now that she's kind of step back a little bit, she'll occasionally bring a sandwich or something just to keep an eye on us, and that's something we were always taught is if somebody's off, because you divide jobs. One person I'll go way over here to one field, my cousin will be way over another, my mom and dad might be somewhere else. But we'll call. Phones are nice for that. You call each other and check on each other. And my mom, a lot of times, will drive out just make sure we're doing all right. Because that is, when you're off by yourself.
Safety is a huge thing. We'll have to remember that, guys. If you end up, and ladies, if you end up being a farm person, whether you marry a farmer or you work on a farm, you always got to watch the back of your fellow farmers and your family members to make sure that they're okay.
Yes, sir.
When my mom and my cousin's mom was little, my grandpa, or my mom's dad, used to always bring him the farm, and my mom's mom she was a nurse, and so my grandma now, she took care of him while my grandpa was farming, and she would like always play with him, and she was a really good partner.
Everybody's work together like that. Yes, sir.
And did you ever have a brother?
I do have a brother. My brother lives in Wisconsin. He's a pilot, and he's flown a lot of different airplanes. He flew in the war in Iraq and the war in Afghanistan too.
So you like farm?
He does a little bit. He helps. He's kind of like my dad. He's good at working on equipment, and so he does that kind of stuff. He's done some farm work and he helps build. But usually, like around Thanksgiving, if we need to build a building or fix a building, we usually try to wait till everybody's there, kind of like the Amish do, and we get everybody together. But yeah, I do have one brother. Yes, ma'am. Dan? You what? What's your dad think? Great. Yes, sir.
Does he like things that let out water to the buildings? Like crop dusters?
Yeah, good question. What kind of a pilot is he? Does he do farm?
Oh,
work,
what kind of pilot is my brother? He's well, that's interesting. He's flown the planes that take, just passengers. He's flown cargo. Now he kind of does a little bit of in between. He'll fly, a basketball team somewhere. He'll fly. He does a lot of different stuff. So I guess what you would call a charter pilot, where they can ask him to fly just about anything. So he's a pretty skilled pilot.
Well, what's your recommendation for these young people? Got one more question, and then I'm going to ask you one final question here. What were you going to check with Mr. Garner about?
One of my brothers playing car on fire.
Has my brother's plane caught on fire? I think a time or two, probably, because he's flown a lot of different planes. One time he had a plane that the landing gear wouldn't come down. He had to land it on the belly, and he said there was like sparks and fire going everywhere when he slid it to a stop, but he didn't have any other people on it. He was able to, you see, when you're a pilot, kind of like a bus driver, you got to worry about everybody.
Be calm. He probably had to be really calm, don't you think?
Yeah, my brother can be pretty calm when he has to. That plane shot up before when he was in the war, so that was kind of exciting, I guess. Yes, sir. Yes, he was. He flew in the war that was going on in Afghanistan and Iraq. Yep.
What are your suggestions for these young people
My suggestions are
if they're interested in?
just try a lot of different things. Try a lot of different things, and I think I've learned the most. I learned probably more from all my neighbors, and the more people that you help, the more you learn different ways to do stuff. Like some of y'all have mentioned, working with your granddad, or working with you working with a man and working for a man or working for a woman are two different things, because they're going to have different ways to do things, and that's a good way to learn. One of the best bosses I ever had was a lady that broke horses out in Pennsylvania, and I learned a lot from her. She was a remarkable woman, and I got a lot from her. So the more you can work for people, the more skills you can learn. You learn how to listen, and plus you get to try things out and see what you like. And if you do like farming, farming is a lot of different levels now. You don't really have to necessarily have 1,000 acres. You can do just a little bit, and sometimes that's worth doing. Yes, sir.
My whole family pretty much farms.
You what now?
My whole family pretty much farms.
Well, that's great. Then you've got a lot of opportunity. Try different things out.
Well, we don't want you to get away before we get a picture. And ladies
Okay.
from LHS, thank you so much for giving us this opportunity.